3 months ago, I walked into a brand who were invisible to their own customers. Products were sat in warehouses, money in abandoned carts, and the team said, "We've tried everything." They hadn't. No email system, no strategy, no clue their biggest revenue source was sat idle. I built them one. 30 days later, it generated $135,030 from zero. Not hacks, not manipulation. One simple truth almost every e-commerce business misses. Customers don't need another discount. They need to feel understood. I'm James Schrinder, email marketing growth partner at Ecommerce Marketing. I've worked with 30 plus brands seeing the same pattern. Revenue left on the table because customers' buying behavior is being ignored. Today, I'm showing exactly how we went from zero to $185,030 and why your competitors are quietly winning while you're still guessing. Okay, so I prepared this document that I'm going to be going through for this case study. This is the 4-part framework that we use to generate $185,030 in just 30 days. I've broken it up into 4 segments that we're going to be covering. So we're going to talk about the situation that they were in beforehand and just how big of an opportunity there was for this brand. Then we're going to go over the lead capture, which is the pop-up form we use to capture on-site traffic. We're then going to go over the flow structure, so all of the core flows that we built out for this brand, how they were set up and what we focused on. And then I'm going to go over how we structured the campaign sending, what kind of campaigns we're sending and how it supports the email flows. So let's just jump into it. Let's start with the situation that they were in beforehand. So this is a pet brand that we were working with, selling pet food and sort of chew toys and anything in that niche. And essentially email was just a complete afterthought. It was not part of their growth strategy. The founders' entire focus was just on paid ads, getting more creatives out of Meta. They just assumed that the more they spend, the more customers they'd get and more revenue. So a huge opportunity miss. So they had a Klaviyo account set up, but they didn't have anything built inside. No flows, no campaigns, nothing. And they just assumed that email just wasn't a channel worth investing in. So the month before working with us, they had $559,739 in total store revenue, with zero of that coming from email. So they just didn't have the fundamentals in place. So you can imagine just how much is being missed out on here. We've got all this revenue and nothing coming from their retention channel, just all through paid ads. So what did we do? So to start, we implemented a pop-up form on their website. It is one of the most important things in email marketing. I have said this multiple times in my videos. You need your pop-up form to be converting at least 10% of your on-site traffic, okay? If no one is entering the pop-up form, they're not entering your flows, and it means your email channel will just never generate anywhere near what it should. And it's really not that difficult to get 10% of your traffic to sign up to your pop-up form. So many brands overcomplicate it. As I've mentioned here, no pop-up means no list growth, no list growth means no flow revenue, and no flow revenue means no campaigns are worth sending. So this is what we built. They wanted to go with a 20% off their first order, which is a decent offer to start with. As I mentioned here, clear, compelling, and relevant to the brand. The form itself, we are straight to the point in delivering the offer, okay, of that 20% off. And then we started with the timing of the form to appear after 5 seconds on when someone loads onto their site. I usually see this works best, but we did start running some A/B tests between 5 and 8 seconds and 10 seconds and things like that, as well as some other A/B tests. But pretty quickly we were getting more than 10% of their on-site traffic just from the knowledge I've built from making so many pop-up forms across so many e-commerce stores. I just kind of know generally what works at this point. Doesn't mean that we don't still A/B test things. It's always important to be testing, but it means we can kind of jump a few steps ahead pretty early on, knowing what I know about pop-up forms. So I see this so many times when I go onto like other brands' website. They'll have a pop-up form like this on the left, where if you're looking at this, they've got their headline as no spam, just the good stuff, right? And then they say plus save 10% on our discovery sent kit. Now that's the offer that they're giving, but it's essentially hidden in this text. Like, why not lead with that? This should be the headline. That's the offer. Your headline shouldn't be no spam, just the good stuff. The good stuff is the saving the 10%. That's one problem I have with this form, and it's what I see often. The second is it's just so much copy. There's all this text here. No one's going to bother read that. They're going to hit that X in the corner straight away and just be done with it. And then the third thing is you can see here they're asking for a first name, a last name, and an email address. This is another thing I see. Why are you capturing all of this information? You don't need someone's first name and last name. One, you can capture it at a later date, but two, I can guarantee that this brand and many other brands that do it, they're not even utilizing it. They're not using any personalization, and ultimately it just doesn't matter. If you strip those out and just had the email address, so it's one input for this field, if it's just one input for this field, you'd get so many more sign up. It's such a waste having the first name and last name. So I sort of go over here, too much text, the offer's not clear, and there's just too many input fields. So on the flip side to that, this is what a good pop-up form looks like. The offer is super clear. clear. When you look at this form, the first thing you see is get 10% off when you drop your email below. This is how simple it needs to be. You don't need to go over all of this other rubbish. Someone enters their email here, they get 10% off their first order. Claim your discount. That's how crystal clear we need to be, okay? So you just have a clear offer, you only need to capture an email address, and then just A/B test the timings and things like that. We did also add a micro commit, which is essentially a stage before this where you just have, do you want to have a discount, yes or no? When someone clicks that yes, they're more likely to finish what they started, just sort of basic human psychology. We did that and we had really good results. The pop-up form was getting well over 10%, closer to 15% sign-up rate, so really, really good. Here's the thing, if you're running an e-commerce brand and you don't have a system like this, you're losing money every single day. Your competitors are quietly taking your money while you're still guessing what works. If you want to see if we can do the same for your brand, head to the link in the description and book your free strategy call at oakhurstmarketing.com. I'll personally audit your store, show you exactly what's blocking conversions, and map out the framework we'd use to scale your revenue. No fluff, just real strategy. Back to how we built this system. So moving on, we're going to go over the flow structure now. So this is really where the magic happens, because your email flows are like your 24/7 sales team, and they are just working on autopilot. They are generating you sales while you sleep. For this brand, we built out their entire core flow structure from scratch. As we mentioned, they didn't have anything live. So the priority was getting these done to a high standard, but getting them live as fast as possible, because every day without them is just revenue you are never getting back. So I'm going to go over the flows that we built them. We built the welcome series, site abandonment, browse abandonment, abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, post-purchase, and customer win back. So what this is covering here is all of your pre-purchase flows on here. This is everything that happens before someone makes a purchase. This is capturing people at every stage when they're on your website, okay? You've got the welcome series, that is when someone enters your pop-up form, then get the series of emails that comes welcoming them to a brand. They get more background about the brand, some reviews, testimonials, incentive for the discount, reminders, things like that. You've then got the abandonment flows here, which is just capturing people at every stage that they are essentially in your funnel. So when someone lands on your website and leaves, when someone browses a product, like just views it and leaves, and then of course ones you're probably most familiar with, which is abandoned cart and abandoned checkout. I see a lot of brands get this mixed up. They think that they've got an abandoned cart live, but they've actually got an abandoned checkout live. These are triggered differently. You can set up the flows the same, but they need to be triggered by one adding to cart and then another, which is that when someone gets all the way to checkout and abandons it. And then we've got the post-purchase flow. So we've got the post-purchase flow and then the customer win back, which is essentially the post-purchase, thanking someone for making the purchase with the brand, usually just getting them to check out other channels that the brand might have. And then we've also got the win back, which is triggered after usually 60 to 90 days. It's essentially trying to re-engage them back into the brand. You don't need to do too much with these flows because your campaigns are going to cover everything else. You're going to be constantly engaging with your subscribers, so you don't need these flows to be very long. I've just got a little diagram on the screen here. These are the exact flows that we set them up with, so feel free to pause and take a look at what's on them. Main notes is the welcome series is very long. I see a lot of brands set up their welcome series and it's 1 to 2 emails long, which is just not enough. There's a lot to cover in a welcome series, as you can stop and read here for yourself. But this is everything we set up with them. You'll also notice with the browse abandonments that the discount codes are only at the very end, so they're on the 4th day that someone gets a discount code. So the likelihood is that people will convert on this 1st, 2nd, or 3rd email. That's what usually happens. So you don't need to just give a discount straight away and just beg for that sale, but they will come. For the ones that don't convert on those first 3 days, it's great. Just give them a small discount, get them over the line. If your product is good enough, they just need a discount to get them over the line. If your product is good enough, then they'll come back and spend with you again. So the most important part was getting those flows live, because now they're going to work on autopilot forever. After they're done, we began sending supporting campaigns. At this stage, we're still in the first month, so we're purely in the testing phase. We are figuring out what's going to work for this brand. What's really important is we are not just sending sale emails, no discounts, nothing like that at all, okay? A lot of brands think when it comes to campaigns, you're just sending, here's 10% off, here's free shipping, things like that. That is not the kind of email marketing that we do. Every campaign sent here is educational and trust building, and we were sending 3 of these per week. So to give you a bit more context about what it was we were sending, these are the types of emails that we were sending to our engaged list, okay? So we've got testimonial emails showcasing real customers and their reviews of the products, how to use the products correctly. We're going over results and transformations from using their products, and then we're utilizing social proof and reviews, and then we're using some us versus them style content, which is something I really like to use for brands in this niche, which is essentially you're just comparing your brand to your competitors and letting your customers make the decision on who they think is best, which is obviously going to be your brand. So just some examples here of what some really good campaigns look like for pet brands. You can see here, these are all educational. A discount code, we're educating about the products that these brands are selling. You can see here, this is a great example of the us versus them. What's the deal with fresh versus canned? This brand is comparing their product to canned food and how they're better, essentially. And yeah, these are great email campaigns, and this is the sort of emails that we were sending for this brand. So our process when it comes to email campaigns is every month we just review every email campaign that we've sent out for that month, which is usually around 12 to 15 campaigns for most brands. We identify what performed best, and more importantly, what did not. We cut out what doesn't work, and then we double down on what did. And then we just rinse and repeat this every single month. We find the angles that are working, iterate, repeat, and grow, and it just improves and improves and improves. So the result of this 30 days, as I mentioned, is $185,030.23 that we generated them, all coming from their email list. So it's revenue that was just sat there that would not have been collected if they didn't have this system in place. You can see from here that majority of the revenue was coming from flows, which is why it was so important that we had to get those live as quickly as possible. And then we had a small amount coming from the campaign. So obviously we got the flows done first, and then we started to send campaigns. So over time, this is going to come up more and more. I would like to see campaigns and flow revenue around 50-50 if you can. So this is obviously not where we want to be, but we didn't start sending campaigns until 2 weeks into the month. So this is just going to get better and better and better as the list grows. As I mentioned here, this is just what happens when you get the fundamentals right. You have a high converting pop-up form feeding subscribers into the full core flow structure. We're supporting them with consistent educational campaigns. No gimmicks, no crazy niche automations, no discount blasting, just the basics done properly.
Most e-commerce brands think their revenue ceiling is set by their traffic. Wrong, it's set by their email system. We took a brand with virtually zero email revenue and generated $185,030 in just 30 days. How? By using psychology, not copying best practices, segmenting strategically, not just emailing everyone, telling stories, not pushing discounts, and testing constantly, not guessing. This isn't a one-time win, it is repeatable. We've done it for 30 plus brands, bakeries, skincare, clothing brands, subscription services, because it's built on how humans actually make buying decisions. If your email system is broken or non-existent, you're leaving revenue on the table, not next quarter, now. Head to the link in the description and book your free email strategy call at oakhurstmarketing.com. I'll audit your store, show you where the leaks are, and map out a framework to help you scale. Stop leaving money on the table, start building real systems. Let's go.